Hi, and welcome to Extra Serving, an award-winning production of Nation's Restaurant News. I am your host, Holly Petre. This week, we're going to be talking about the battle between Sweetgreen and Chipotle. Sweetgreen introduced a bowl that caused Chipotle to sue them for trademark infringement. Sweetgreen later changed the name of the bowl. Does this mean Chipotle has the corner on the Chipotle bowl? Also, we're going to be talking about McDonald's. It has the greatest improved share of teens' wallet, yet the company is temporarily shutting down its U.S. offices amid impending layoffs. What does this signal for the U.S.'s largest restaurant company by sales? Finally, we're talking about pizza drive-thrus. It seems this is the next frontier of drive-thrus. Big chains like Pizza Hut have been experimenting with them, as well as smaller emerging chains with large slices. We'll talk about this new segment in the industry. This week's guest is Mohammed Faraj, co-founder of Talkin' Tacos. And now it's time to introduce my lovely co-hosts.
I am Sam Oches, editor-in-chief of Nation's Restaurant News.
And I am Leigh Zinsmeister, managing editor of Nation's Restaurant News.
And now it's time to take a moment to thank our sponsor. Stratus Foods is the industry partner you can depend on when you're looking for the very best in fats and oils. Our team of expert researchers, developers, and innovators have helped countless businesses just like yours bring their most delicious menus to life. With products that are reliable, sustainable, and ready to meet any challenge, you can fry, bake, saute, and grill with confidence. Stratus Foods, we've got you covered.
Anyway, now with our moldy brains, we continue.
Yes, we do continue, and we talk about the crazy legal battle between Sweetgreen and Chipotle. I mean, that was like wild. I was gone for, I think, 12 hours, and that all happened in the time that I was gone. It happened and then was resolved in the 12 hours I was gone. It was absolutely insane.
It did happen fast enough that we had to redo some social media posts that hadn't gone live yet. So yeah, it's a pretty quick turnaround on the news.
It was a very quick turnaround. So basically, Sweetgreen came out with this bowl that was called the Chipotle Bowl. And it was a bowl versus having like any sort of greens in it.
Chipotle chicken, just to be clear, it wasn't just the Chipotle bowl.
No, it wasn't just called the Chipotle bowl.
Yeah, because that would be even more egregious.
Chipotle chicken burrito bowl.
Yeah.
The Chipotle chicken burrito bowl. But also their marketing was quote unquote reminiscent of Chipotle because it was using a dark red. And I mean, I don't really think Chipotle is the corner on the color red, but I mean, you know, whatever they want to think. You only need to be 10% different to not get sued. So I really think Sweetgreen was within their rights, but, you know, whatever. So Chipotle sued them for trademark infringement, and then the next day it was resolved. The next day the suit was dropped because Sweetgreen changed the name barely.
Well, Chipotle is still in the name. I think it's called like the chicken bowl with Chipotle. Well, something. I don't know.
Like they barely changed the name.
It's the chicken and Chipotle pepper bowl. I mean, Chipotle it's an ingredient.
Yeah.
And presumably it is in this bowl. I have not confirmed that, actually, but I'm guessing.
I would hope so. After everything they have been through with this, I should hope they actually put Chipotle in there.
Well, we will be doing a taste test of both bowls, so stay tuned for that. We are ready on our video game for that, so everybody stay tuned for that. But Sam, what do you think about this saga? It's a 12-hour saga.
12-hour saga. I think Sweetgreen knew what they were doing. And I think it was a calculated risk that they took. And to some degree, you could say that it paid off, that everybody's talking about Sweetgreen. However, their stock tanked after this happened, so maybe they didn't anticipate that. I don't know. I don't know whether or not that's the case. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But I do think that there was some intentionality here from Sweetgreen, the fact that everything was, you know, pretty similar to Chipotle. And look, I mean, I can't say they're wrong to poke the bear, right? Because, and it's really interesting because Sweetgreen and Chipotle, you know, Chipotle is sort of the first darling of fast casual. Sweetgreen became the darling of fast casual, sort of took the mantle from Chipotle at one point in time. Sweetgreen, obviously a fraction of the size of the Chipotle. So we have sort of a David and Goliath thing going on here. And again, I don't have any background info on whether or not this was the truth, but I suspect Sweetgreen wanted to poke the bear. They wanted to they wanted to go at Chipotle to draw attention to this menu item, and it worked, right? Now, the stock price tanking may have been inconvenient byproduct of it. But yeah, I especially since it was resolved so quickly, it tells me that Sweetgreen wasn't meaning for this to. They probably guessed they would get this cease and desist, right? They probably assumed that would happen, and so they were quick to pivot. Yeah, I don't know. And at Chipotle, maybe this is a sign that Chipotle takes the threat from Sweetgreen pretty seriously, or maybe it's pretty standard IP legal battles. I mean, McDonald's famously sues anybody that names anything Mick whatever, right? And this could be some of that, which is just protecting your IP, even if it seems egregious, because, yeah, it's a Chipotle pepper. Come on, Chipotle, you don't own that. But all of this felt a little bit intentional from Sweetgreen. Here we are talking about it, so perhaps that was the goal they had all along.
Yeah, I'll say I was surprised by how much people were talking about this. I don't know. I tend to think restaurant stories are really big news, and then nobody else is talking about it outside of our little sphere. But I usually have the news on in the background while I'm working, and the local news was top of the hour. Chipotle suing Sweetgreen. I'm interesting. I never see restaurant news. It's been probably the last thing was the Oleato. So it's been a month probably since the last big restaurant story I saw in the local news to that level. So that was interesting. I wonder if it was even maybe more than Sweetgreen anticipated. Let's poke the bear, but oh no, we made it angrier than we thought we might have. I also I understand the course of action that everybody took here, but I wish that we could have seen this play out a little more, because I am curious about which side the law would have come down on, because you said, Chipotle doesn't own Chipotle peppers, but if you say the words Chipotle chicken burrito bowl to me, I'm thinking of one specific chicken burrito bowl, and it's from Chipotle. So I would have enjoyed watching that play out, but I don't blame Sweetgreen for what happened. And I think a week from now, it'll all be the same to everybody. It'll be it never happened. Sweetgreen's stock is already back up. So no harm, no foul.
Yeah, I mean, an alternate reality here is one in which the Chipotle plays nice, right? One in which they say, all right, you want to go toe-to-toe with the big boys? Let's do this. Let's have customers vote on social media which bowl they think is the best, right? Like the chicken sandwich wars. You remember how those were, kind of friendly? Everybody kind of got into it. Nobody sued anybody in the chicken sandwich wars, as far as I know. Chick-fil-A was not, oh no, Popeyes, you did not. Here is your cease and desist. They played along, right? In an alternate reality, Chipotle could have done that. Maybe that's what Sweetgreen expected. Maybe they thought some people would be like, hashtag Team Sweetgreen. I don't know, but it didn't happen that way. And to your point, Leanne, I wish it had, because I don't know, call me a optimist or whatever, but that would have been more fun. It could have been more, I don't know. They could have probably stretched it from a marketing perspective. Chipotle could have stretched it from a marketing perspective a lot further. Now, Sweetgreen again is it does not have the same brand awareness as Chipotle, so it might have been a little harder for them to make up a social media campaign out of that. But still, there could have been another reality here where that would have been more of a fun marketing war, whatever you want to call it, to happen besides what ultimately did.
That
I
would
don't
have
think
been
that's
more
optimism.
fun.
I think that's drama.
Yeah, we all love drama.
We all love drama. Maybe too much.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
you,
I'm disappointed that this drama was resolved so quickly and neatly.
Yeah.
Is how it feels.
I feel it would be entertaining. We can't be entertained by it anymore. It's already over.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about it, but it's there's nothing else to be said. We've said it all.
And there you go. There's your segue. Moving along.
Moving along to McDonald's, another behemoth in the industry. The number one restaurant by sales in the U.S. So definitely the behemoth. They are increasing their share of teens' wallets. Still, Chick-fil-A is number one. I think it will always be number one. I mean, it's a little scary, but it's always going to be number one, probably for teens. But McDonald's is really inching up there. And they're also seeing all these layoffs. They closed their U.S. offices temporarily this week, Monday to Wednesday. And so now they're getting ready for layoffs. They kind of announced they were going to do layoffs like a few months ago, but now they're actually about to happen. I mean, what do we think about this McDonald's conundrum that they are still seeing sales, they're still increasing sales. We have the great trade down that's happening. QSR is benefiting from it, but then McDonald's is getting ready to lay people off.
I think it's just another symptom of the overall economy. Tech companies have been laying people off for months now. And we've seen a little bit of that in the restaurant industry, but mostly among brands like Sweetgreen, which tend to fancy themselves tech companies, even though they are restaurant companies. Anyway, so I do think it's just largely that's what's going on. Like, the economy is not great. Even companies that are doing really well have to make changes and sacrifices. And it's also worth noting, we don't know exactly what's going on with McDonald's yet. They have not shared publicly who's being laid off, what's going on here. So it's just something that's happening now with the report that came out this week about where teens are spending their money. I was interested to read the McDonald's portion because every year this report comes out and I am just bored to death because teenagers love Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, and Chipotle. Every year, those are the top three. Sometimes Starbucks and Chipotle swap places, but they're always in second and third. It's really hard to find new news in this report over the last few years, but we've done it. McDonald's is in there. Teens are spending, twice as much money there now as they were.
From 3% to 6%.
Yeah. And I mean, that's not nothing. So that's a glimmer of hope of good news for McDonald's. A lot of their marketing efforts are paying off. I mean, we keep talking about this marketing war chest that they opened up a few years ago. They're heavily targeting the younger audience with their celebrity collaborations. And that bit is working. So I think any trouble that we see with McDonald's right now will be temporary. It's in the short term. I think long term, McDonald's really has nothing to worry about.
Yeah, and to clarify on that share of teen wallet, I mean, Chick-fil-A is at 18%, right? And just going to stay there. It's going to stay at number one. And so 6% for McDonald's. What is noteworthy, as Leanne said, is mostly that in a couple of years, it went from 3% of teens' wallet share to 6% of teens' wallet share. And I agree with Leanne that a big part of that is all of the, the Cardi B meal and Travis Scott and, all of the attention they have put on being a part of the zeitgeist. I mean, I tell you what, there's a channel that my kids watch, they stream, and I swear there's a McDonald's Happy Meal commercial every single commercial break. It drives me absolutely crazy. No offense, McDonald's, but please stop. And it works, though. My kids, of course, always are asking for Happy Meals. But yeah, I mean, McDonald's, they need to win over the younger crowd again, because as they once did, a kid in the 90s, I ate Happy Meals all the time, right? Our generation grew up on those, and a good chunk of our generation probably still eats McDonald's, right? You really have to keep reinvesting in the youth in order to ensure future business, and I think this is a sign that is working. Now, to the layoff piece of this, you have to imagine that this is just another sign of the efficiencies that companies are trying to make after the wildest 3 years in anybody's history. And so we saw it first with the tech sector, and the tech sector, Mark Zuckerberg, I think we've said on this podcast, but Mark Zuckerberg himself said 2023 is a year of efficiency, and they laid off 11,000 people or something along those lines. And 2020 and 2021, when everything was survival at all costs, every company was tapping into government funds where they could, or just opening up their savings or whatever. They were doing whatever, spending whatever they could on new technology. And, especially once the worst of COVID was through, they got to this point where it's like, okay, well, let's invest. Let's get the talent that's now on the, all these millions of people were suddenly unemployed. Let's invest and snatch these people up. And the tech companies especially started really stocking their companies full on banking on a post-pandemic era where they could just like explode out of the gates. And restaurants did that to some degree too, McDonald's especially, because McDonald's really never suffered that much. And I think they just invested a lot in talent and resources. And so much like the tech sector, we're seeing them say, oh, well, we didn't explode like we thought because of the labor issues and the supply chain issues and the inflation issues. And here we are sort of too bloated as a company in this back to normal world. We have got to slim down, cut the fat, and get back to a more manageable operation. I think that's probably what's going on. And again, you'll see it at the tech companies, and you'll see it at a lot of other companies. It's probably not the first restaurant that we'll see. And to some degree, I expect other restaurant companies to do this using McDonald's as cover, because now that McDonald's has done it, the shock of it's happened. I expect to see other restaurants start to do this too, because they won't be the first, and they won't get those negative headlines like McDonald's did. So, but yeah, to Leanne's point, McDonald's is fine. They're fine. The trade down will continue to help them. Their sales will hit another record, I'm sure. What they will have is more profit, because that efficiency, cutting back, slimming down, layoffs, saves you money.
Mm-hmm. Saves you money. There's our big takeaway.
Yep.
King of the takeaways.
God, restaurants are going to start laying people off and be like, Sam told us to. This guy said we'd make more money if we laid off. This is the
point. This is the point at which I put in the disclaimer that my opinion should not count toward any decisions you're making in your business.
Guys, no one let our boss listen to this.
I am not liable to your success or your failures.
Thanks.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, now that we're in a good mood, let's talk about something fun, which is pizza drive-thrus. That's a fun thing. I feel like getting a slice of pizza through a drive-thru is a fun thing. I mean, I've never done it, but I feel like that would be a fun thing.
Two of the best things put together. There's really, it's the epitome of greatness.
A little scared to ask this question, but Holly, have you ever been through a drive-thru?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I think like once or twice.
I mean, can anybody listening ever take her seriously on the show when they learn these facts about her?
I love to ask really hard-hitting questions. Like the journalist I am.
Holly, what do you think America is? What do you think?
I think America's a bunch of drive-thrus, to be perfectly honest. I just haven't been to them.
And you're not wrong.
I think America's all about convenience, and that's really what these pizza drive-thrus that kind of started just before the pandemic a little bit. I thought this
nice save.
I know.
That's nice save.
These started right before the pandemic. Kind of started first with Slice, which is a pizza drive-thru in the Chicagoland area. They started in 2019, and that was sort of the first of these pizza drive-thrus. And so what they are is a lot of them is pizza by the slice at a drive-thru. So it's just like I just think that's so fun. I'm still just like so fascinated by getting like an individual slice in an individual box at a drive-thru.
Well, let's caveat.
I think that's so cool.
Let's start with the caveat that surely a pizza restaurant has had a drive-thru for probably 50 years. I mean, it's this, they're not, this is not getting invented right now. Obviously, the reason that pizza restaurants don't do drive-thrus is because you cannot roll up to a order box and put in your order and then go sit for 15 minutes while your pizza cooks. It just is not it doesn't make a lot of sense for a pizza restaurant. It does for Slice, because pizza by the slice, you've got the pizza out under the heat lamp, it's ready to go, boom, you're off and running. I will say Little Caesars, in my college town, Little Caesars had a pickup window because of hot and ready, right? I mean, the pizzas were there. Hot and ready was $5. I mean, the greatest thing to a college student that we pulled up to the Little Caesars pickup window and got a $5 pizza. I mean, it was amazing. Well, let's face it, we got a stack of 10 $5 pizzas and split it among all of our roommates. But yes, I mean, to bringing it to 2023, if we shall. Drive-thrus are the hot commodity. Last 3 years have made them so. Everybody wants a drive-thru because with the technology out there today and mobile order ahead, of course, a drive-thru makes a lot more sense to some restaurants that it did not make sense to before. And that's why we saw some full-service restaurants exploring with drive-thrus as well. So it makes sense that a pizza restaurant would also explore the potential. Now, I do not expect a pizza restaurant to have a order in the speaker box and wait for your pizza drive-thru. That doesn't make sense. But a mobile order ahead, which I think is what Pizza Hut's doing, or a pizza by the slice, of course, yes, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, of course, pizza also is king of delivery. They will continue to be the king of delivery. But to complement a delivery strategy with a drive-thru, where, you know, such as my case, where our family is in the van and I don't want to figure out what time do I call to make sure the delivery we're home. You know, there's a lot of details there. We just went through the drive-thru. It makes a lot of sense. It just opens up a totally new channel for you, for your sales. And if you can do it, go for it.
Especially if you're in a van.
Especially if you're in a sweet ride like a Honda Odyssey,
like a
mine.
minivan.
Yeah. I don't mean to
You
brag.
guys know, I never used to be able to
brag.
use those. I never used to be able to use the sliding doors in minivans because I didn't really have a lot of them growing up. So I never used to be able to use the sliding doors. Didn't know how they worked. Just another fun fact about me.
I don't know what to say to that.
There's a doorknob. You just pull it.
I'm
Yeah, but you gotta
speechless.
pull it out and to the side, and I couldn't figure that out. So I was just it doesn't work for me.
Well, for many years now, they are automatic. You just, and it does it itself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I do for Ubers now. I'm just please open this for me. And so, but I could never figure it out growing up. So
Holly, you should ask an Uber driver to take you through a drive-thru sometime.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that'd be fun. Well,
Wasn't there a
really
Lyft Taco Bell thing at one point? Didn't Taco Bell do a Lyft? You could press a take me to the drive-thru at a Taco Bell situation a couple years
I don't
ago.
remember
That's
that, but
smart.
it sounds great.
I'm pretty
Sounds
sure.
really
That's
smart.
Holly's match made in heaven.
Yeah.
I think I ate Taco Bell 3 times last week. Is that too much?
There you go. This episode brought to you by...
Taco Bell, please sponsor me. I'm right here. Please sponsor me, Taco Bell.
Just Holly, personally. Just sponsor Holly.
So what I find really interesting about these pizza drive-thrus, at least 2 of them offer what they claim to be the largest slices. So one is 16-inch slice and one is an 18-inch slice. That's a big slice of pizza, 18 inches. And so I find that's really interesting.
One of those is bigger than the other. So
yes, but they're both they both both claim to be the largest, even though they're not.
Sure.
I'm talking through their marketing points. But they have these giant slices, and I find that it's so interesting that out of the few pizza drive-thrus that Joanna identified in her story, 2 of them have these giant slices. I just think that's an interesting point to note, that we're seeing this with 2 giant pieces of pizza.
Well, because then it's you're serving a whole pizza.
Well, yeah, and I guess if you're going to go through the drive-thru, you're not going to go through the drive-thru and just want one average size slice of pizza. It's in New York, the places you can walk up to get a slice of pizza, you want that to be a massive slice of pizza because that's your dinner. Sam doesn't know, but Holly knows what I'm talking about. And so
I have had New York style pizza. Thank you very much. I am not the opposite of Holly over here. Okay, I may live in middle America, but I am cultured. I travel. Goodness gracious.
But okay, so if you're doing that, it's a convenience thing, and it's because you just need a quick, easy dinner, but it needs to fill you up. And so, yeah, I think doing the big slices is smart. When I was a kid, I swear I'm not making this up, there was a Taco Bell Pizza Hut combination store that had a drive-thru because Taco Bell, but you could also get Pizza Hut personal pizzas through the drive-thru. And breadsticks. I used to go and get tacos and breadsticks. Anyway, this isn't about me. But
can we talk about Book It for a second? That's where I feel like this conversation is going. The personal size Pizza Hut Book It program. Oh man, that was the best.
All right. So anyway, but it's the same kind of thing where personal pizza is a meal. Especially if you've got your family, the kids, and an 18-inch slice of pizza is a meal. But an average You know, you're not going to pull up to like a Papa John's and just want one slice of a Papa John's pizza. It's delicious, but you need like 3 to fill you up.
3 pizzas?
Slices. You don't want just one slice. You need 3 slices to fill you up.
Unless you're a college student.
Unless
you're Sam in college. Or maybe Sam now. Who knows?
Lots of pizza. This is a good time that, now that we're 2 hours away from my family's pizza night, this is really giving me some ideas.
I was going to say, are you getting pizza for dinner tonight now? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Friday night, every Friday.
I might go ahead and get a dollar slice now and join you guys virtually from far away. You guys can FaceTime me.
I will not accept that call.
I think that's what Sam really wants to do on a Friday night is FaceTime you.
While we're both eating pizza.
Why is Holly calling?
Definitely.
Oh my God. Okay, well, do you guys have any happy news this week? Happy news?
Oh, there we go.
News.
I can't give happy news without you singing the song. I will say, shout out to the city of Indianapolis. I had a lovely trip there earlier this week. Yes, we took our children there for spring break because they have the best children's museum. It is so cool. So if you are in the Indianapolis area, highly recommend. We also went to the zoo. I don't really have any food recommendations because, we kind of just do boring food because we have children with boring palates. But we had fun. So go Indianapolis.
Go Indianapolis.
Never expected that, did you?
Literally, no.
Get around the country, Holly. You'll find some nice places.
Well, apparently not nice for food.
Oh, yeah, fine. I mean, there's a very famous steakhouse in Indianapolis called St. Elmo that I walked by, looked in the window, dreamed of walking into and eating there. But I would never in my life take my children there because I'm not going to waste $20 or $30 on them on food they don't eat. So
smart. It's a good idea. And you're being nice to the people around you, which I appreciate.
Also that. Yep.
I really thought you were going to plug the Austin Roadshow, Sam. I really gave it to you on a silver platter.
Really? Did you say, anybody have any travel coming up? You didn't say that. But now that you mention it, I do have some travel coming up. And if you're listening to this before April 11th and you live in the Austin, Texas area, we will be in Austin on Tuesday, April 11th for our roadshow. We had a great event in Los Angeles on a couple weeks ago. And we will be in Austin, bringing that same energy to the wonderful capital of Texas. I love Austin. It is really one of my favorite food cities. Even beyond barbecue, there's tacos. I mean, it's a great city for food. We will be there. Lots of leaders in the area from the restaurant companies based there. We have a panel in which we have Brandon Hunt via 313 Pizzeria, Jeff Chandler, CEO of Hop Dottie, and Jay Kim, the founder of Cilantro Barbecue, joining us for a panel talking about growth and expansion. So if you are in the Austin area and are free Tuesday night and want to come to a free event with food and drinks and networking and education, go to create.nrn.com and RSVP, and you can meet me there. I will be there, but not you two, which I'm thrilled about.
Hey, Sam, guess what? I've been to Austin, and I've been to all 3 of those restaurants. So suck it.
Because of work and because I made you go there. So
I still went to all of them. I still have been to all of them, and I've been to the city of Austin. So can't say I'm not cultured.
I, too, have been to Austin. And what's great about the time I went to Austin is that neither of you were there.
Boy, we've really devolved. This episode, we clearly need to air out some laundry here.
The food at all 3 of those restaurants is delicious. So I will highly recommend them to anybody who goes to Austin.
As I recall, we tried to go to each of them all on the same day.
We did.
And it was not successful because you cannot eat at that many restaurants in one day.
No, we did cilantro the next day.
That's right. We had to save it because we wanted to enjoy it. And we did.
Because we wanted to enjoy it. And we did. And we enjoyed it very much. The food is exceptional in Austin. I will say we were there for a few days, Sam, and the food was delicious the whole time we were there. So I will say it was a great food city.
Yep.
See, I've been places.
Austin. Congratulations.
I've been to your hometown, Sam.
Oh, sadly.
Just
You didn't
don't
take
ask
me to
her
any drive-thrus.
And we kicked you out.
You didn't take
Just
me to a
don't ask-
single drive-thru.
Just don't ask Holly to identify these places on a map.
I guess
We
we
did
should have
that
done
last week.
we should have done a White Castle drive-through while you were here, because you were here to help film the brand icon White Castle, and we did not do a drive-through.
We did not do a drive-through. Next time I'm in Ohio, we'll do a drive-through.
Okay, just
Maybe
we'll start by you placing it on a map, and if you can do that, you can come to Ohio.
We actually did play that game at the office recently, and I did get Ohio right on the first try. So your little plan didn't work, Sam.
I feel like Leanne is holding back other information of the states that you got wrong.
There were a lot.
Some of them I got very wrong.
The
Some of them I got
information
very
is-
wrong.
A lot of them were wrong.
Oof. Anyway.
It's a good thing I'm a blonde now, so I could be a dumb blonde.
All right.
On that
Are we
note,
done here?
Let's wrap this thing up. Let's
Yeah.
wrap it up. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And I'm going to turn it over to my interview with Mohammed Faraj, co-founder of Talkin' Tacos. It's a great conversation, so I do highly recommend it. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thanks, Holly.
Stratus Foods is the industry partner you can depend on when you're looking for the very best in fats and oils. Our team of expert researchers, developers, and innovators have helped countless businesses just like yours bring their most delicious menus to life. With products that are reliable, sustainable, and ready to meet any challenge, you can fry, bake, saute, and grill with confidence. Stratus Foods, we've got you covered. All right, so welcome to the podcast, and tell me a bit about your brand.
Thank you. Well, for starters, my name is Mohammed Faraj. I am the co-founder of Talkin' Tacos. Talkin' Tacos began as a food truck back at the height of the pandemic. We were a simple, small little green food truck that opened up around September of 2020. It was my childhood best friend and myself. We had $2,000 to our name combined, and he had a food truck. He had a food truck that was just sitting around collecting dust that he was thinking about selling. And I was like, why not just open up a taco food truck? He's in the Mediterranean. He had a Mediterranean food truck, and he said, okay, let's do it. And so the rest is history. I mean, 2 months in, we were the first to bring birria tacos to the Florida community. And so that was a big hit for us, right? We slowly, within the first month, became the busiest food truck on the block, probably in Miami. And that translated to just nonstop lines every single day of every single hour, right? And so at that point, we were trying to give a better experience for our customers. And the most suitable way was to get a bigger kitchen for employees to be able to cook more food at any given time. So there's no hour wait times, hour and a half wait times for a food truck. And so that was really the beginning. After 6 months, we opened up our first brick and mortar location, which is in an area called Miramar, Florida. And shortly after, December, we opened up in Brickell City Center, Miami. And so that was December of 2021. And that's really when we were working on our infrastructure, our teams, building our team, strategizing for future growth. Because at that point, it was no longer a small little mom and pop operation, right? Where you can just 4 or 5 people can run the operation. By that point, we had, 45 employees. And so then now you got to start thinking about HR and payroll and labor laws and make sure that everything is up to code, And so we really had to bring some talent onto the team, right? And so now we have some great, amazing talent from managers to directors to partners. And so companies grow, and so after Brickell, we opened Wynwood in Wynwood, Florida, in the art district. We opened that in October of 2022, so about 5 months ago, and that's been a big success. And literally last week, we opened up in another city called Coral Springs, Florida, and that was the biggest success by far. So the growth is astronomical. It's amazing to see how much love and support we get. We as a brand, it really matters to us. What customers think of us, and so seeing all these turnouts to all these different grand openings truly means the world. And so around mid last year, we used to get so many people that would travel from out of state, out of city to come, and we would be their first stop, right? We're going to Talking Tacos. And a lot of people would say, hey, you should open up here, you should open up there, you should open up there, Washington, New York, Manhattan, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, all these different states. And I was like, wait. We're trying to get out of Broward County first, right? We can't even go to, the next county up north. And so the only way to really do it, that we thought, right? We don't have a crazy amount of capital backing us, right? So we decided to go the franchising route, right? And bring and award worthy individuals of our brand and name to open up in their communities and really make a difference in their communities, right? And that's what matters the most, because the only way you succeed is if you truly make a difference, right? Your employees, you're helping your employees, helping your community, providing a service. And at the same time, helping yourself, right? Because it's a good brand, good name. You'll make a decent living, you'll live happy, and so that's the most recent development. We have locations signed in New York, Manhattan, Tampa, Florida, Jacksonville. We're working on Texas and Virginia and a few other states. So that's a very brief history of the company.
I'd say that was a little more than brief. That was pretty detailed.
Well, I hope it wasn't too detailed.
No, it was perfect. I actually want to go a little bit backwards and talk about how you got into tacos, because you talked about this being a Mediterranean food truck at first. How did you guys get into birria tacos?
So a friend of mine was a chef at the time during COVID, and he essentially recommended something called a birria taco. And Omar and myself, Omar being my partner at the time, we were like, birria taco, never heard of that, right? And so it's when we actually had to physically try it and test it in our travels in California and Los Angeles, where we were like, wow, this is incredible. This is delicious. And I never had this in Miami. And so it took a food truck to make it one of the most popular items today in Miami, right? And so you look at most restaurants now, they're trying to push birria tacos, right? But in some cases, you're kind of behind, right? We were the first, and we introduced it, and we really focused on honing down on the recipes and making sure that the food is good, looks good, tastes good. And so all of that, provided for a beautiful, not just a story, actually, it gives customers reasons to come back. Because I remember when we first opened without customers knowing, we were like, tacos, was that the right decision? Because it was the first 2 months and it was very slow, right? We were selling maybe 20 meals a day, right? And that's because we were on a busy street. And so what ended up happening was one day I get a call from my employee. We had one employee at the time. We were serving 10 meals a day. It wasn't that crazy of an operation, right? So I get a call from the employee, and he was like, hey, Mo, you need to get over here right now. And I was like, what's going on? Is everything okay? He's like, man, we have a line to the street wrapping around the corner. So I was like, are you sure you're on the right food truck? And he was like, yeah, get over here now. So I get there, and come to find out, it was a young girl who had posted us on TikTok. She had maybe 200 followers. She posted us on TikTok, and it went viral in Miami. And you know, the rest is history after that. So we did second guess the birria taco concept, especially because we were the first to bring it down, and it wasn't really moving. But it only takes a single spark to light up a fire. So, yeah.
That's a really beautiful way to put it, especially because you identified this white space in Miami that was really apparently a gold mine. I mean, you're franchising now. That's great. So
Yeah.
Interesting to see how basically market research is the way to go for some restaurants, that's how you find your niche.
Absolutely. There's nothing more important than really understanding your market. We understand our demographic, our clientele, who really comes to our restaurants, right? And so we kind of stay within those parameters when we open up in new cities. So, for instance, we look at population density in any given zip code per square miles, right? So we know our successful restaurants have X amount of people per square mile, and there is X amount of people per zip code, right? And they are X amount of this demographic, that demographic, and that demographic. And so you try to align those points across the board and really understand the next market that you're going into before you make that jump. Because a lot of people, opening a restaurant is the easy part, right? It's really operating it and getting customers through the door, right? And so, as you mentioned, the understanding your market aspect is by far the most crucial part of owning a restaurant, most definitely.
You seem to have a pretty good head on your shoulders when it comes to the business side of restaurants. What is your background?
I'm a doctor.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I graduated from Nova Southeastern University, College of Dental Medicine, and then in 2021, I went and completed a residency that was heavily focused on trauma to the face, and it was around that time where everything was really going parabolic with Talking Tacos. So I was in New York at the time for about a year, came back down, and let's just say I'm more of a restaurateur than I am a doctor these days.
But that's so interesting that you moved from being a doctor to going into the restaurant business. I mean, they are different, but I assume that you think that they're kind of the same.
Believe it or not, being a doctor is more stressful.
I believe
being
that.
Being in the restaurant industry is a lot more demanding. You're dealing with a lot more nuances and issues, on a daily basis, but it's more physical than it is mental, right? And so being a doctor, for me at least, in my experience, I did 11 years of schooling to become a doctor, and let's just say it wasn't the easiest times in school, in residency. And so all of that really, it's supposed to prepare you for the best, but I didn't. My calling was different than what I expected, and it's okay, people change paths, that's what life is, right? You take one road. If it's a dead end, you make a right and keep going, so that's life. I still practice just because I don't want to waste 10 years of my life. I practice one day a week, for the love of just helping people out. So that's what it is.
But when you talked about franchising, it was so interesting because you talked about helping in those communities as well. So I find that it seems like a big part of your personality is just helping others, whether it's through medicine, whether it's through the restaurants that you operate. I mean, it just sounds like it's a big part of who you are and what you want to impart onto the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's what makes not just myself, but Talking Tacos very successful. Um, we treat our employees and help our employees as much as we can. And it translates to customers really feeling a difference from our employees, and just, you know, everything across the board, right? From food to service to cleanliness, employees really enjoy working for a good team, especially one that cares about them, right? And so we do have our community service efforts that we really try to delve into. But to me, while that is important, I think it's the most important thing is to take care of those that are within your home. And so our employees are like family to us, right? Um, one goes down, we all go down. And so that's really the model that we live by. And it's really become a part of the culture, right? So, you know, it's interesting. Um, and we get a new location, and what we realize is that, you know, if one person is, if everybody finished their jobs in this new location, if everybody finished their job and there's one person left still working, right? Whether it's cleaning or preparing or doing something, what we noticed is that a lot of these places, everybody leaves and leaves that one person to finish the job, right? And so without asking, right, without us mentioning anything to our teams, what we end up seeing the culture translate to is nobody leaves before the last person's done, right? So if you have 6 people that are closing a shift and there's one person who, you know, alone it would take him another hour, you'll find that the other 5 people will go and help this person out to make sure that they're done in 10 minutes, that this person's done in 10 minutes, right? And so it's super important, right? It's what makes us. And I emphasize this in to all franchisees. It's that, you know, there's so many ways in this world to make money. You don't really have to own it. As a matter of fact, owning a restaurant is the hardest way to make money. The the most fulfilling part about owning a restaurant is 2 things. First is making your customers happy and making your employees happy. If those 2 things are accomplished, then I, as an owner, know that I have done my part. I have done my job and I've done a good job, right? Because nobody's going to care for you if you're not a caring owner or manager or supervisor, you know? And so that's one of the things that I emphasize. It's really making a difference in your community, to your employees, you know? So I don't know if it ties into my doctoral background, but I think it's these are traits that every business owner in general should take with them wherever they go.
And how do you identify that in a franchisee? I mean, that must be a little difficult to really parse out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, Look, there's many things in people that you can't really discover early on, right? But I mean, the simple things that we do. So before we agree to a candidate who would like to franchise, we would essentially um, understand their story, right? What is this person's story, right? Is this person coming at us with a lot of money and they just want to open up Talking Tacos in X amount of cities, or is this person truly doing it to help themselves? Absolutely, that should be a good reason. But does this person's intentions also entail helping the employees, helping the community? You know, we have a Nike executive who actually um, franchised from Talking Tacos, right? And so the amount of love and care that this one franchisee has for the brand, it's been beautiful to see, right? We've also had others who've come that have, you know, early on in our franchise development, they've come and said they wanted to open up. They wanted to franchise 20 locations, right? And so kind of caught me by surprise, caught my partners by surprise. But what we ended up agreeing on is that, we don't need that corporation to come and take over, right? 20 locations. We want, literally the whole point of this is to help people, right? So we award a franchise to a certain person. The expectation is you in return reward those who stand with, right, your employees in your community. And so, the last concern is the money. It's because the money comes, right? You do good by people, you do good by your customers, and they'll come back, they'll come and support, and your employees will stay, right? So that's something interesting, that we've never had an employee shortage since during all of COVID. So COVID-19, we were overstaffed, right? Employees don't leave. It's only during like the extreme circumstances when a person doesn't work out that we have to let them go. But our retention rate, we still have probably 90% of our employees from 3 years ago that are still with us today, And so that speaks to the brand, that speaks to the culture, right? People enjoy this, people who have families and kids and responsibilities, right? And so you wouldn't stay around if you didn't feel comfortable, whether it's financially or emotionally or physically, you know what I mean? So those are important things. Helping people will definitely help you in the end. So
How do you foster this environment? I mean, it sounds almost unbelievable to have people work for you that long in the restaurant business, especially. I mean, how do you foster an environment that is so congenial, that is so warm and appreciative?
So we first start with, well, actually, let me rephrase. The first step to our hiring process is no background checks. We don't do a background check on our employees. And so whatever you have that's happened prior to your employment at Talking Tacos, we believe in second chances, right? And so the first step is we don't do a background check, right? We have a sitting interview with you. We have a working interview with you. If you are capable of working to our standards, nothing else matters, right? And so it starts at that point. So now you have employees who come and they're like, whoa, this company's not looking into my past, right? So they're really trying to build a future with me. And so that's where it starts. And from that point, you've sort of gained the employee's trust by not having them fear you, right? So instead of fearing getting the opportunity, well, now they know, okay, I can get the opportunity. I just have to continue to deserve it, right? And so as opposed to, doing a background check and that being your standard, so you pass the background check, well, now you qualify. That's not us. We don't do background checks for that specific reason. That's not a qualifying factor for us, right? And so we believe in second chances. And what that translates to is employees who say, you know what, there is a future with this company. They're looking at my future, not at my past. And so our motto within the company is we grow from within, right? So all of our managerial staff were once the person making the burrito or the person making the taco, and so we don't bring outside talent unless absolutely necessary, but we do not bring outside talent. It's all from within, right? And so it starts from my partners and myself, who are pretty much at the top of the chain when it comes to really teaching these individuals how to do their jobs efficiently. And then it trickles down into all these amazing employees who came in with no experience on how to make a taco or a burrito, right? And so they learned and they got really good, right? And so, we have amazing staff. It's that process of really building a relationship with your employees, as opposed to setting a standard of fear and constantly having, people on their backs. You know what I mean? And so all of that really creates a good culture. it sort of keeps people, together, right? Themselves. They know that, okay, we're like one big family, right? And so I'll give you a perfect example. This morning I get a call from one of the managers, and he was telling me, hey, can you please check if there's anything wrong with the delivery systems? I said, why is that? And sometimes delivery systems glitch, and it'll pause the stores, and you can't order, and customers cannot order. And I said, why is that? It was around 11:10. We opened at 11. And he was like, because one of our employees who was working that station was very concerned because there's no tickets coming through, right? She was concerned. She wanted to make sure that everything was on. And to me, to somebody else, they would have been like, yeah, this person's just doing their job. But to me, this person wasn't doing their job, right? This person went above and beyond because her job was to be there, right? Caring about the place and making sure that there's times that the operation can be, selling, and it's not selling. That's a problem. You can't pay for that, right? It's got to be within somebody's heart to say, no, I need to make sure this is going as best as possible, right? Christmas, our employees were upset we were closing. It's like, no, we shouldn't be closing, right? And I'm like, guys, go home, go home, go to your families, right? We'll come back tomorrow. Don't worry. We'll come back after tomorrow because we were closed on Christmas. This is Christmas Eve, I'm sorry. And they were like, no, come on, let's stay open, please. We have a lot of customers here. We don't want to turn them down. And I was like, okay. So I told my partners, I said, all right, everybody, apron up, gloves on, and we're working too, because some employees left, and we had about 5 or 6 that wanted to stay. They refused to leave customers, right? And so you get this culture, you get this really positive culture, right? And that translates to high employee retention rate, right? Less drama in the workplace. People feel safe at work, right? And those are critical factors into owning a restaurant. Because if your staff is up to the standards that you have, and they're doing great, and there's a good culture and positive vibes, I think that everything else is the easy part, right? You can teach anybody how to cook, but keeping them there so you're not always teaching somebody is the difficult part, right? And so achieving that is important because they are the heart of your operation, right? How do you not give back to those who are giving to you? And so that's been the best way that I can put it, where we were able to, create this environment for our employees.
I mean, it also sounds like you have a great product that people are proud to present to the customers. Like, it sounds like it's not just the environment, that it's also the food. And it sounds like you really built upon this TikTok moment and you made it stick, which is so important because you can have a moment and then it fades. But it sounds like you guys really had a moment, you made it stick, you built upon it, you built a culture for employees, you built a great food item. So, I mean, how did you do that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I was my partner at the time, Omar, was an incredible business owner. He had a Mediterranean food truck. And I had never been in the food industry prior to that. So when we saw the power of TikTok, I looked at him and I said, hey, Omar, this is crazy, right? You have TikTok is doing this, one post. And I remember asking him maybe like 2 weeks before, hey, Omar, how do you feel about us spending $10 this month in advertising? Which seems so insignificant today, but it goes to show you at that time, we really didn't understand what it means to advertise, right? And so you have these mega corporations, these giant corporations that truly understand how to deliver the message to the customer. We didn't. And a lot of mom and pop businesses do not as well, And so it started from there when we realized, a light bulb switched on. We were like, wow, this is the power of a single TikTok post that went viral. We cannot lose the momentum. And so it became, Mohammed, you focus all your efforts on marketing, dive into it, learn it, study it, perfect it, and I will make sure that the product we deliver is up to par, up to standards. It speaks what the message is. It delivers what the message is promoting. And so we were kind of like an amazing duo. Not to toot my own horn, but as partners, we really we completed each other in a sense, in a business sense, right? And so from that point on, it was like, okay, we have to make sure we don't lose this, as you've mentioned, holding on to that moment, right, and really capitalizing on it. And so 6 months later, we were able to do enough to really get into having, a marketing department, which we have now. We have a marketing team that works for Talkin' Tacos, that are producing content and engaging with customers and really handling the social media aspect and allowing us to grow while that avenue is taken care of. And so it was really just understanding it, right? And that's my advice to a lot of okay. And that's my advice. I'm sorry about that. I just got interrupted. And that's my advice to a lot of restaurateurs. I mean, look, you have these mega corporations that understand these things, right? They know they spend millions of dollars to find it. Chipotle finds. This is actually something funny. Taco Bell. I remember my dad was like, "Hey Mo, you're gonna open up next to a Taco Bell, they'll crush you." And I was like, Pops, I was like, Taco Bell, I'm sure they spend millions of dollars finding good locations. They study these areas, which means if I follow Taco Bell, there's a good chance we'll succeed, And so you start from there. You start from just making your way through to really understanding how they do these things. And once you do that, it's your job to continue and building on what you've learned. So in our case, we cracked the door open and we got a little glimpse. And then now we truly understand who our customer base is, our demographic is. And now we know how to select our location, how to target the next location, right? And so you really have to think big, like these big corporations that have all the resources. So it wasn't easy. It really wasn't. But, our employees give us the time to be able to do this. So that's what's incredible.
All right. Well, last question. What is up next for you guys? I mean, we've talked about franchising, we've talked about growth, but I mean, what's up next for Talkin' Tacos?
Yeah, Talkin' Tacos. We're set to open a few more locations this year, corporate locations. Next year, we're going to continue our franchising efforts, right? We're going to continue to select those franchisees who truly share the same passion as we do, who live by the same values that we do, regardless of any kind of money. And, one day we hope, and I used to say this, and people would laugh at me. I used to say, Talkin' Tacos will be we want to bring Talkin' Tacos to every zip code in America. And people used to laugh like, that's pretty hilarious. You're not going to do that. And it's like, sure, let me just manifest. Let us achieve 1% of that, right? And so that's still a success. I mean, where we're at now, it's enough that our employees love going to their workplace. And so that to us is success, right? If this is what we can deliver to our franchisees to continue this growth, I think that the possibilities are endless. And we want to grow at a steady, healthy rate to where we can give, these franchises our time and our effort to make sure that they're all just as successful as we are, while slowly growing our corporate footprint down here in South Florida. So that's what's in store for 24 and beyond.
Sounds really exciting. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much for joining me
I
today.
forgot to mention one thing. I'm so sorry.
Oh, yes. No. Go ahead.
So Talkin' Tacos is officially the taco sponsor of the Miami Dolphins as well. So the football team, yeah. So we're making a lot of developments in that space too. So it's pretty exciting. We're going to be doing really cool things this season. We're going to be giving out season tickets, doing amazing things with them, cross collaboration. So yeah.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
That's going to be super fun too. I bet you're going to get so many new fans too.
That's the plan. That's the hopes. Yeah.
Especially since you really flooded the market down there in South Florida. So I feel like you're only going to grow.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, thank you for telling me that. I really appreciate that. That was the last note we ended on, was that you guys are going to be the sponsor of the Miami Dolphins. That's so much fun.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Mohammed. And it's been great.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.